What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dana White is unsure if UFC 282 will include Jon Jones. UFC President Dana White was a little bit coy about whether or not Jon Jones will be part of the UFC 282 card in December, which will take place in Las Vegas. Jones recently tweeted that he wished to fight at the end of the year card. And while it's not clear who his opponent will be, all indications point to former heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic. The other potential opponent, undisputed heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, is currently recovering from knee surgery and has an expiring UFC contract, so he still has to work out the details on a new deal with the promotion before any massive fight with Jones takes place. During the UFC 278 post-fight press conference this Saturday, Dana White was asked a bit of a tongue-in-cheek question over whether Jones's recent legal troubles in Las Vegas creates a bit of hesitancy on the UFC's part of putting him on a card in Sin City. This is what he answered to that question.
That's funny. Yeah, there's a little. Yeah, there's a little. Probably bring him to New York.
Jones's long-anticipated heavyweight debut has been more than 2 years in the making. He last fought in February 2020 when he successfully defended the light heavyweight title against Dominic Reyes via decision. Just a few months later, in August, he officially vacated the title to move and try his luck in the heavyweight division. The thinking was that he would move up to immediately challenge the champion, who at the time was Stipe Miocic. Eventually, Ngannou knocked out Stipe for the title, but despite the potential for a huge clash between Ngannou and Jones, that fight never materialized after both men started to make their intentions known that they wanted to be handsomely compensated for such a massive bout. Now, as Jones continues to train for his heavyweight debut, it's up to the UFC and his potential opponent to set up the clash. What do you think about White's comments here? And do you think we'll see Jones make his debut in the heavyweight division in 2020? Justin Gaethje says Islam Makhacehv will not dominate Charles Oliveira in Abu Dhabi. Justin Gaethje knows all too well what Charles Oliveira brings to the table in terms of skill set, mindset, and more to the octagon. So while he isn't placing any bets on who will win the highly anticipated lightweight clash between Oliveira and Makhacehv at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi, he doesn't foresee Makhacehv dominating Oliveira the way he's done to so many other fighters during his 10-fight win streak. Makhacehv was tapped to take on Oliveira at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi for the vacant lightweight title, while Oliveira, who was stripped of the lightweight title prior to meeting Justin Gaethje at UFC 274 this past May, he's sporting an 11-fight win streak and also has the most submission victories in the history of the promotion. Gaethje is one of the top lightweights in the world, but even he succumbed to Oliveira's elite submission skills, losing in the first round of their fight this past May. This is one of the reasons that he feels Makhacehv shouldn't get ahead of himself and think he has the fight in the bag, even though the Abu Dhabi crowd will clearly be on his side. This is what Gaethje stated about that as a guest fighter just prior to UFC 278 this past Saturday.
I'm 100% confident that Islam will not dominate Charles, and that's about it. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. That's what I feel. The last time I stepped in there with him, there's no way.
Islam is a wrestling machine, but Oliveira is another top-notch grappler, so going to the ground is not really intimidating at all for him. He actually relishes it. It's where he does some of his best work. Gaethje later went on to talk about how Oliveira has more power in his hands than people think, and that Oliveira has the gas tank to meet Islam in deep waters if need be. What do you make of Gaethje's comments here regarding Islam versus Oliveira? Kamaru Usman's statement following UFC 278 loss. After 5 successful title defenses, Kamaru Usman looked well on his way to number 6 during the last round of his welterweight clash against Leon Edwards at UFC 278 this past Saturday. Despite Edwards taking his back in the first round and threatening some submission attempts, Usman was able to deliver an onslaught of attacks that really put him ahead in the scorecards as they entered the 5th and final round. With just a minute to go in the fight, Edwards delivered a well-placed and well-timed left high kick to the head that sent Usman crashing to the canvas for the knockout victory. Edwards was able to not only gain the welterweight title with the win, but he also avenged his previous loss to Usman from all the way back in 2015, a fight that Usman won by a unanimous decision. The Nigerian Nightmare was sent to a local hospital as a precaution following the knockout loss. which is where he fired off this tweet. Champs F up sometimes, but we bounce back and come with a vengeance. Then, just a few hours later, he posted this on Twitter. Damn, I love this sport. Things happen, but alhamdulillah, we move. Congratulations, Leon Edwards. Perhaps Usman got word that UFC President Dana White essentially confirmed plans for a trilogy bout between these two men. Not only do they each hold a win over the other, but Usman has had the second longest reign as welterweight champion. This is also Usman's first loss in the UFC and first loss since his second fight in his MMA career all the way back in 2013. What do you think of Kamaru Usman's statements after the UFC 278 loss? Who is your early favorite for the trilogy bout? Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to stay up to date on all the latest fight news. Conor McGregor reacts to UFC 278 results and Kamaru Usman loss. Conor McGregor really piled on now former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman following the UFC 278 main event this past Saturday in Salt Lake City, Utah. The former champ McGregor took to Twitter immediately following the bout to fire off a congratulatory tweet to Edwards and their shared management team of Paradigm Sports. This is what he stated first. Just like that, baby. What a game. Huge congrats to Paradigm Sports and Leon Edwards, another champion. Then, McGregor gloated over Usman's head kick knockout loss to Edwards in the final minute of their 5-round fight. This is what he tweeted. Usman gonna come out saying he from Pluto after that smack, ha ha ha. Marty Greenpants from Pluto. Then, Conor retweeted a photo of Kamaru Usman immediately after the knockout loss, sprawled out on the octagon canvas with a caption that states, "Me no like it the boy, no sleep them man, ha ha ha, twat got twatted." What do you make of these tweets from Conor? Booked Tony Ferguson to take on Li Jingliang at UFC 279 in a welterweight clash. Just 4 months after his loss to Michael Chandler at UFC 274 in May, Tony Ferguson is gearing up to make a move back to welterweight and take on China's Li Jingliang on September 10th at UFC 279. Tony has not fought at 170 pounds in over a decade after winning the TUF 13 welterweight tournament by a first-round knockout in 2011. His next fight in the UFC right after that was at 155 pounds, a division in which he has made a massive mark. His return to welterweight will be against the number 14 ranked Leech himself, Li Jingliang, whom we last saw knock out Muslim Salikov back in July. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights, with a win over Santiago Ponzinibbio as well. Ferguson is coming off the first knockout loss of his career against Chandler back in May. Since then, he's made a major change and joined the stable of fighters at Jackson Wink Academy in New Mexico to get back on track. He's on a 4-fight losing skid, the longest of his career, but all of these losses were against top tiers of the lightweight division. What do you think of Ferguson coming back at UFC 279 in September to fight at 170 pounds? And who do you think will win this fight between Ferguson and Li Jingliang? Thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.